Hello and welcome back to this Universal Battle 2 tutorial. I am Hyper-G for Proxy Table Gaming, and welcome back. If you've watched the first one of this series and you've come back to me for a second viewing on the second video, then thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and hopefully you guys will be able to learn something from it as well. That is why I'm doing this video series. So in the first video in the series, we talked about the interface a little bit. We talked about the lobby screen. We talked about what Universal Battle 2 is. For the sake of my sanity, I'm going to now refer to it as Universal Battle, which is the pre-game of Universal Battle 2. Universal Battle 2 is the one that is most popularly used at the moment. So if I call it Universal Battle, that's just because I'm trying to save myself a few seconds every time. So we talked about that. We talked about the different matches that are going on, and we talked about how you can enter passwords to protect yourself from other people going in. And one thing that I wanted to mention on that topic is you can literally play anyone you want. It doesn't have to be someone that you actually arranged to meet. You can play with a complete stranger. They're literally just a name, a username. And you could go in there, chat to them on this sidebar, find out what kind of game they want to play, or just talk about life, whatever you like. Potentially, if they were available for the next few hours, you can play a game against them. Or if it doesn't work, if it's not suitable for what you want to play, then you can just leave the room, which you'd do with this arrow up here, and you would be able to leave them alone and go and find a different opponent. So it's a great way to meet new people who are also into the hobby, and very much doesn't depend on your location. I've played battles on here, I've had a few hours spare, and I've gone into a battlefield against someone who I've never heard of before. I find that they're playing 9th Age, which is great because I want to play 9th Age. I say to them, I've got a few hours spare, are you around for a few hours? They say yes, or they say no. And you just go and have a game against someone that you've never even spoken to before. Eventually you might get to know them. Maybe you'll find out they live in the town next door to yours. Maybe in the future you'll end up having a proper battle against them, or maybe you'll come up against them in the tournament. All number of things, but that's what is beautiful about this online gaming, is that you can really come across anyone and still enjoy your hobby that you have in common. Another thing that I forgot to mention in the first video, which was how much does Universal Battle cost? It's free to download. Again, this creeps into the technical side of things, so I'm hopefully providing accurate information, but I won't promise anything. It's free to download, and you can also play the game for free using the default models, or I say models, using the default unit templates, of which Soldier is one and Priest is another. You can use the default ones for free. There are a number of features that are not available for free users. I can't really remember what those features are because I pay for my membership, and it's a very cost-effective membership. I think it costs, well, I'm not even going to give you a price because I could be wrong, and I'd rather be non-committal than I would be wrong. But yeah, you can pay a certain annual fee and you get access to Universal Battle for a set amount of time, for a year, or you can pay for it monthly and whatnot. You can do all that. And the beauty about a feature that I'm going to go into in future battles, in future report videos, is that if you create a unit template and your membership expires, that doesn't matter, because when you renew your membership, then that links to your username, and all the units that you've created, or unit templates, they remain in your account and you don't lose them, even if you've run out of your membership. So that's really cool. I personally have got a yearly membership. It runs out probably in the next couple of months. So I'm going to need to renew it again. But yeah, so there is a cost to it if you want to create your own units. But like I say, I'm not going to go into the details of costed memberships compared to free memberships too much, because it's not really why I am doing these videos. Okay, and so that was a couple of things I meant to mention in the last video. So moving on to this video, I'm going to show you a few of the features that are available. I gave a brief talk of moving units in the last one. Hope you find that useful. And, keep the questions coming, and maybe I'll be able to go through them in further videos to give you a bit more of a clue. One thing I do want to do in this video, though, is show you this button here, which looks like a tree. Now there's a reason why I'm skipping over that one, and that one I'm going to use talk about in a further video. This one is a tree, looks like a tree, and it's what you use to make the battlefield itself. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier on in the first video was that you don't need models to play this game, you don't need a physical table, you also don't need physical terrain pieces, because you can literally just pick them up from this very large database of options, and you can just place them on the battlefield however you like. So for example, there are different subheadings here. Walls, a whole load of walls are appearing. Plants, water, sort of loading them as they go. Various other things you can get. Hills, relics, rocks, and buildings. And all you need to do in order to actually place them on the battlefield is click on it, and it literally appears on your mouse pointer. So wherever you, I think actually no, that's slightly wrong. It appears directly in the center of the battlefield. So the center of this terrain piece will have appeared directly in the center of the battlefield. And now when I left click on it, much like with a unit, I can move it. So maybe there's a forest in that corner instead. Or maybe it's in that corner. And I can put as many of these terrain features on as I want and move them around the battlefield to make myself really cool looking battlefield to have a battle on. And you know, you can also make these things, can you make them bigger? One of those things that maybe I'm being a bit silly over. I can't say I played around with the sizes of things. This suggests that you can, but yeah, what's that do? Yeah. See, there you go. See, I haven't played around. Oh, there you go. That duplicates it, that button. See, I'm learning as I go. As I'm doing a tutorial, I'm learning. Best way, eh? And you can also rotate things. So there you go. And if you decide you didn't actually want to duplicate things, much like with a unit, you can delete them. Very cool. So yeah, that's how you populate your battlefield. There are so many options in the database. It's really, really cool. And obviously when your unit negotiates around them, oh, they've just positioned themselves behind a rock. So they're going to need to reform in one turn and then march, wheel around there and march forward to get around the rock. You know, brilliant. All very 2D, but that's how this game is played on Universal Battle. And it saves having to have the models yourself, or even having to paint up a giant rock to place on your battlefield, or indeed take a rock out of your garden, which some people may do, and there's nothing wrong with that either. So yeah, that's how you create a battlefield, and you see it was very simple within this menu. There's not much more to show in this menu, except for you can actually change the size of the battlefield. So by default, it's set to 72 inches wide by 48 inches long. And as I press these buttons, you will see the battlefield shrinking behind me. So say, for example, I wanted to play on a square battlefield instead of a rectangular one. I would just do that and then save. And now this is my battlefield. And I'm now playing on a square. So move those in, move those in. Yeah, and now it's a square battlefield. Brilliant. And you can literally edit these settings however you like. And same goes for making it bigger. Really wide battlefield. And as you can see, it sort of zooms the camera out here and there, however you like. Takes a little while to save it. You have to zoom in a little bit in order to move around. But now that is a huge battlefield. So you can really play epic battles of huge proportions if you wish to. But for our purposes, I'll just move it back to the default. And it does start as default as that. And that's what is a standard 9th age battlefield. It's a really cool way of just building up a really nice looking battle. Within here, there is also the option, you see me use the save button, there's also the option to load. Now, I said to you before that you can change the underlying color. You can do that by pressing into here, change it from grass to soil, that's quite hard to see, desert on the sand, urban, and snow. And they are all actually default settings created by the system, which is really awesome. So if I wanted to load a snowy map, there you go. Wow, nice bright snow. And that's pretty wicked. I like the look of that. I mean, it keeps the terrain the same size, same shape, and the same color, but that's pretty awesome. Another feature is to go into this one, and it's previous battles that I've been involved in. Awesome. If you want to bring up an old battlefield that you used before, or you can use this feature. You see it's auto saving my battle reports, and you can actually use other battlefields that other people have used. So these are all other people's usernames. There's pages upon pages of other fields, and there you go, that's a really funky one. Don't even know what game that is. There's a King of the Hill, similar. And let's see if we can find anything more. So there you go, there's the 9th age map 3 2.1.4, and that is just a fairly standard thing. And we can actually load that up, and that has now loaded those terrain features on top of the ones that I already had. And much like other terrain features, you can move those ones around, so you don't actually have to stick with anything and say that's just too many, start deleting them. Pretty cool. And also, you know, move them around, have a play with them. And you know, you can literally have these overlapping. And I think that might be what this button is for, maybe. I'm struggling to see what this button is for. I'm sure it does something. If I left click on it, right click on it. Oh, there you go. That did something. Yes. So actually put it underneath the forest. There you go. It takes a few clicks, but yeah. So you can make a really cool iconic battlefield. So there you go, for example, I want the forest coming out in one direction, but I want the water actually to be seeping out the forest. Awesome. So you can make a proper little scene for your battlefield here, which might come more useful for fluffy campaigns, but either way, it's actually really good fun making a battlefield, if that's your sort of thing. And you can do that even without the intention of playing a battle. You know, maybe just making a scenario or something, experimenting with it. There's so many things that Universal Battle 2 can do for you. And also, another feature I wanted to show you within this is this button here, lock. So I've pressed lock, and that basically locks the map. Now, what has that done? I can no longer click on these terrain features and move them. They are locked. Nothing can move them now. And that means that basically, for my unit, which has walked through the water, possibly not the best idea to have for an infantry unit in the 9th age, but I've walked through the water, and maybe this unit is here, and maybe I want to grab this unit, but maybe I want to grab both units. I make a square, grab both units. Now I can move them. Maybe that's something I have to do in game, maybe it's something I want to do to clear up afterwards. Who knows? But I've been able to grab them and move those two units around. Now, look at what happens should the terrain be unlocked. Whoa! The whole terrain has moved with my units. That is not ideal. That is not what I wanted to do. And it would have been rather difficult to move only those two units had the terrain not been locked. How much easier. So once you've got your battlefield ready and made, you can lock your terrain, and fantastic, away you go. Now those units can move. Alright, cool. So that is the terrain button. Hopefully that explains a bit more about what it's about. I'm going to leave it as locked for the time being because I'm not going to use that for future videos. So I don't know how long this video has gone on for, but what we're going to do is we're going to do one more button, I think, in this particular tutorial video. And that is, I'm going to skip this one again. Cheeky, I know. I'm going to go straight into this button here. Now that is a 6, probably the sort of icon that my colleague Lucky Sixes is very familiar with. I'm not so sure about it, but hey. And that is the dice button. Now, this is where you roll the dice. Another thing you don't need. You didn't need tables, you didn't need terrain features, you didn't need models. You also don't even need dice to play Universal Battle. How awesome is that? And the way you do it is you indicate how many dice you want to roll. And this, I mean, I haven't tested how far this goes up, but believe me, I've played 40k games on this, and you need a lot of dice. And can it go up to over 100? No, 100's the maximum. There you go, I found that out for the first time today. But yeah, you can roll as many dice as you like by setting the amount. You can change how many sides the dice has. So for example, if you need to roll a d3, you change that to d3. If you're rolling in the magic flux phase, you can change it to a d8. We'll go back to d6 for now. And all you need to do is press roll, and it will roll the amount of dice that you've told it to roll. And it shows them over on this side in this text panel. And I've rolled 3 4s and 2 5s. I would be delighted with that roll, providing it wasn't actually a magic casting, because otherwise it's a miscast on the 4. But hey, that was actually a pretty good roll for 5 dice. Let's roll it again, see if I can do any better. Probably not. Nope, didn't do any better. But 2 2s, a 3, and 2 4s. Possibly a better result for a magic cast, but it is here or there. And yet, likewise, if I change this to 1 dice, roll a 2, roll a 5, you can literally do this. You get the idea. The other feature is you can use this marker if you need a random direction to be decided. I can't say that this is something that the 9th Age uses too much these days, but if you need a direction randomized, press that, and you can literally close it because it says it here. So 258 degrees and hit. I mean, that's a old game feature, but if we literally turn this unit now, 258 degrees, and that is the way that they were facing, that random direction. I'm not sure how many people would need that, but it's a feature all the same. And it says rolls a hit. That one wasn't a hit, but it's 154 degrees, etc. So yeah, if you need that feature, it's in there as well. Very handy. And yeah, there's not much more to say about the dice feature really, other than it does show it in this panel. So there's no dispute over, oh, I rolled 5 6s for my to hit roll. That's 5 poisoned attacks. Just killed your monster. Whoop-de-doo. You know, there's no disputing that because it is written here. And what I should also mention is that you can scroll up and down. So you can literally scroll back to previous entries right from when the match was started. So if someone says, no, you didn't roll 3 4s and 2 5s back then, I can say, well, actually, if you go back up, I did. Yeah, it's a talent I have. Anyway, yeah, so that is that button as well. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here for this tutorial. I can say I'm not really measuring the length of time spent on these videos, but that tells you how to do the terrain button and how to use the dice button and how you can apply them in games of the 9th Age and other tabletop battles. So yeah, I hope you're really enjoying this. I'm enjoying making them, having a bit of fun, playing around with buttons, finding out new features myself as I go. And yeah, I'll see you for the next one, which is going to be probably another random button choice that I'm going to decide on the spot. Fantastic. Hope you're enjoying them. Like, share, subscribe. Give me some comments on what you want to see in further videos, because literally anything is open for tutorial. And throw the questions at me. Other things you want me to press around, just keep talking. Really appreciate all your support on these videos and other videos while we deal with the strange times going on in the world today. I'll see you for the next one. See you later.